Okay, welcome back everyone. Welcome to a new trading week. This is Jeff here with FXMindshift and welcome to the Sunday overview. So this week, as you can see, we do have quite a bit of red folders. Except for Tuesday, we have one every single day. This is a new month, so February is now behind us. We're now into the month of March, right? And so the first week and the first Friday of every month, we have NFP, right? So this is going to be our high impact news this week. We also have another high impact news day on Thursday that we need to pay attention to. If you're trading Euro, we have the Euro Summit, we have the main refinancing rate, and we also have the monetary policy statement, right, followed by the ECB press conference. All of that is happening in the New York Open. We also have the USD unemployment claims folder, but that is, the folder that we have usually every week, right? So that's kind of mixed in there with all of the Euro news. So yeah, aside from Tuesday, we can see Monday we have a red folder at 10 o'clock, and also Wednesday as well. Both of these ISM manufacturing, ISM services at 10 o'clock for USD, right? And that is pretty much the high impact news for this week. So obviously Thursday and Friday we'll have to be a little bit more cautious, right? And then NFP, see what the effect of NFP is this week on DXY and the subsequent pairs going forward. So let's take a look at the charts. We're going to head over to the DXY monthly chart right now. Start off with our top-down analysis. Now on the monthly chart, you can see here last month we closed with a bearish month. Okay, so February we did close bearish. However, we came down below January's low. We attempted to go above the high in January. We failed to do that, right? We came down below January's low, and then we closed back up into the range, right? So, going into the month of March, I would say that we would probably look for, price to continue up first, right? If we are going to continue down later, that might be, something that happens in the next couple weeks. But I would say looking at from the monthly close here, we could probably expect price to initially start off the month of March with some bullishness. So if we go down to the weekly, because the monthly isn't all that clear just based on that one candle, but if you go down to the weekly, okay, we can see here that we did trade through that weekly swing high, right? And then the retracement that we got was very shallow. So we saw a shallow retracement, and then we saw another push to the upside here, trading back into this weekly OB over here, which caused this retracement, this reaction. So we're trading back into that weekly OB that we formed on the first break of the weekly structure. Okay, and we also see a weekly bullish reaction that we got from last week. We closed with a pretty large, engulfing candle here. So momentum, of course, is bullish still. So I would say, going into the start of the month here and going into the start of the week, we would carry some of that bullishness and that momentum into, this first week. So that's what I would like to see. And we are, closing back above that weekly order block here after tapping into it. And actually, if we draw in the 50% range of the OB, we can also see that we're respecting that 50% range as well. So I like to see some bullishness heading into the month here for DXY. Let's drop down into the daily for a little bit more clarity. Okay, and if we look at the daily chart here, okay, we can see the initial reaction away from the peak here, right? And we can see that bearish order flow and structure is still in play, but this last week here we ended off on some bullish strength here. So we came down into the discount of the range. You can see we traded into the daily order block here, right? And that's where we reacted from. From there, we saw price come up and give us a change of character here, right? And then so the daily change of character, which created or we closed above basically the swing high, the internal swing high here, right? And potentially closing through this bearish imbalance here. So this is where price would continue lower if it was going to continue lower. And this is difficult to tell right now because we have just taken out this internal high. Normally when we take out, an internal swing high or any kind of swing high, we would expect price to give us a little retracement. So it's kind of 50-50 to me right now. I don't really know for sure, but as I said, from the weekly and the monthly perspective, I would like to see the dollar continue higher from here. So what are some things I need to see in order for that to be true? on the daily, and as we go down the 4-hour, we'll take a look at the 4-hour as well. But we would need to see price, basically trading through this area right here, which could potentially give us a move down. So the order block here that we're trading into right now, okay, and oops, this is the arrow. That's not what I wanted. So the order block here that we're trading into right now, that we're currently getting a reaction off of, okay, this is liquidity that we're trading into right now that's giving us potentially a reaction. This is a bullish candle that we closed off of. So, if we do get bullish momentum and trade through that, we don't get a very strong reaction, then that's some good, signs for bullishness. Or what we can do also is you'll notice that we have another imbalance just below here. So we have a bullish imbalance just below this bearish one, right? So we're kind of sandwiched in between the two, which is why this also makes it a little bit difficult to tell right now, right? But we could also react from the OB here, come down into the imbalance, and then make a continuation higher. Okay, now those are all arguments for price, continuing bullish this week, right? But for bearishness, obviously we would see this rejection here, okay, and then we would see price trade back through this bearish imbalance and then look to target the swing low that we created last week. Right, so I'm not sure which direction it will take. Obviously, the start of the week and as the week progresses, we'll have a better idea of which of these two scenarios plays out. Okay, but it'll be important to see, which direction the dollar goes, bullish or bearish, to then give us, the analysis going forward on like EU and GU and the rest of the pairs, right? So that is the dollar. Let's go one step further into the 4-hour and let's see if we can give any more cases for bullish or bearishness on the 4-hour. So if I drop to the 4-hour markups here, right, what you will see is that we do have, this is that daily imbalance here, but we have this 4-hour imbalance just above this that we've just formed at the end of the week here. We also have a break of structure, okay, a 4-hour break of structure, which resulted from this big bullish push, right? A small shallow retracement here. So if we are going to continue higher here and, kind of trade through the order block, I guess on the 4-hour here, you can see the order block would be this candle right here, right? Which we are trading into right now and seeing a small reaction from. So if we get a shallow retracement into this imbalance here, right, and continue higher, this is where, we could expect price to do that from, right, potentially. Or, as we said before, we could get a respect of the order block up here. We get a deeper retracement back into that daily imbalance and then get the push higher, right? These are the cases for price to continue bullish this week. And then, of course, for bearishness, then we would just be looking for price to respect the OB here at the range. We'll trade through this imbalance and this one as well, right? And then we'll target the lows, the low of the week we had last week. Right, and so those are what I'd expect to see for DXY to give us a better idea of whether we're bullish or bearish, right? And so some things need to transpire, obviously, before we can get a clearer picture. Right now, I would say it's 50-50, so we need a little bit more information, right? Let's drop into the euro dollar here next. Okay, so euro dollar on the monthly chart, okay, as you can see, trading into a monthly imbalance area here, okay, currently seeing price reject from it, right? So the monthly close here, we closed inside of the January low, okay, and closed bullish, right? So a little bit ambiguous as well because it's also closing inside the January high. So technically this is an inside candle inside the previous monthly range, which really is just, consolidation, right? So it could go higher, it could go lower. We really need to see price break out of the previous month's range for any clarity on that. But if we're going to take the stance on the dollar being bullish, right, and if the dollar is continuing to bullish, then we'll expect euro dollar to continue bearish, right? And so right now it's just not very clear, at least not on the monthly. Let's drop down to the weekly chart. Okay, and that was last week's projection. If we were going to go higher, we didn't quite make it to that high there, but we could certainly see price do that still. But as I said, on the weekly here, we need to see price break out of a range. So right now you can see that we have price respecting that imbalance and then the push lower, which gave us the swing low, trading into that weekly imbalance below. You'll notice that we are holding it, right? So we haven't broken through that initial reaction, okay, but we haven't broken above either. So that high right there was what we were looking for price to do, and price certainly is right now just trading inside of this range here. So it's a little bit difficult to tell. We'll have to see, price breakout either way. Last week was a bearish close, okay, so we might look to see price go a little bit further down into the discount area here, right? We've got the weekly OB at the bottom of the range that we could trade into and continue up from, or we could see price go through that weekly low, and then that would negate the bullish idea, right? And that will also depend on what we see happen with the dollar this week, with the euro news, and also with NFP, right? So we have a lot of catalysts this week, to basically give us our direction here and the breakout of this euro dollar range. So let's drop down to the daily chart next. Right, and from the daily perspective, as you can see here, this was the swing high that we were looking for price to run above. You see that we failed to do that, okay? So we actually did not take out this high and this liquidity here, and then we saw price drop and create this bearish imbalance, right, as we gave us a little structure shift through this internal low here, right? So inside of this current range that we're in, right, we can see here from high to low, after respecting the order block up here, the wick rejection, and then price coming down, we can look for price to potentially reach for some discount liquidity, right, internal liquidity. So this would be an area that we could see price trade down to or respect, while it's still trading into the discount of the zone, right? So this would be an area of liquidity we could target to the downside for the dollar. Or I'm sorry, for euro dollar, right? And so if we do continue down from it, this is where we'd expect the trade into the imbalance, right? And then the continuation down into that area. Or we could just see price drop from here, right? It's also possible as well, okay? But we'll see if that continues. Let's go to the 4-hour. Let's see if there is further confirmation of that. So here's the 4-hour and the range we are currently in. We can actually see price is respecting that order block that we saw price go up from or trade through, basically, right? So we can see that we're mitigating, this swing low here, and then we're seeing the continuation down with potentially another imbalance, right? So it depends on how we get the next candle to form, okay? If we do get a candle that leaves an open imbalance here, then we could see price continue lower from that. But we also see that price is sweeping this low and closing above, although it's very, very close to the low here. We are seeing a closure above after sweeping that internal low and trading into this 4-hour bullish order block down here. Okay, so again, a little bit 50-50, right? Depending on which way we go, we could see price react bullishly from this after trading into this order block here, and then seeing price go higher. If we're going to go lower, right, we could just go lower from here. If we create an imbalance here, we could also go lower from the rejection of the imbalance that's created to go lower here, right? Or if we get a larger retracement higher, we can come back into this imbalance, this OB here. But I think this scenario here is a little bit less likely in this case. We've already seen the rejection and the reaction from mitigating this swing low here. I don't really expect price to come back up to this level here, especially if the dollar is going to be bullish to open the week. I think that we'll probably just see euro continue to drop, and then we'll look for a run to this low here, right? And so that is what I would expect for euro dollar. Now let's drop over to GU to see if there is some similarities. So they should move pretty similar. So GU on the monthly chart, as you can see here, we have that monthly tap into the monthly OB and the reaction, close above the low after the sweep, and then you can see the bullish reaction this month here. Okay, so we did get a bullish close, as we were expecting to. We did close just slightly above last month's high, so GU is showing a little bit more strength, strength-wise bullishness. We're seeing more of that in GU than we are in euro dollar. Okay, and we can see that from this monthly candle here. So potentially we could see the month go higher here from this standpoint, okay, which is a little bit different than we're seeing here for euro dollar. But let's drop down to the weekly and let's take a look at the weekly to see if there is some more bullishness. Now, for the argument here to be bullish on GU, I would say that because we are trading into this weekly order block here and seeing this reaction, so we did end the week last week bearish with a pin, right? And then going into this weekly order block. I would say that if we were to continue higher, we would need to retrace further down into this range first. Okay, so maybe looking for price to trade back into this OB or maybe the one below it, okay, but this is probably the one that's closest, that makes the most sense. So I'll be looking for something like this, maybe a initial move down first into that weekly OB and then a continuation up afterwards, which would be in line with what we're looking for on both euro and the dollar, right? So if the dollar does continue higher from its, from the weekly open and the monthly open here and start off bullish, then we would expect GU to do similar, right, and start off bearish, and that would, if it is going to go higher, that would be like the false move week beginning, right, or the session beginning. So this would be the stop hunt low rise, what we're looking for, and then coming back over here. So I would like to see if GU, trades back into the OB here. This level at the open here is going to be 124.60-ish, right, or thereabouts, 124.50 maybe, which is a nice mid-figure number, right? And so let's drop down to the daily. And let's see if that also makes sense here on the daily. We can see a nice bullish imbalance there right at that level, right? We see a bullish order block. So it does make sense in terms of the daily. Let's put the drawings up here. And here's where we see that respect of the daily order block, right? The reaction that we got here and the swing high confirmed, right? So we probably would expect price to continue lower first before moving higher. And where could we expect a bullish reaction to move higher? Right, well, we've got this nice bullish imbalance right here, coupled with this nice bullish order block, right? So we have an overlapping point of interest where we have the imbalance plus the order block here, which makes it a little bit stronger, right? And then I would expect, price to come back into this level here. So we can refine this from the weekly to about right here, right? And then we'll see if we get a reaction in this level, a bullish reaction here. But as I said, initially first, we're probably looking for a move down into this level with a reaction before that happens, right? And then we can see if we will get a run through the high here, right? That will be a lot more bullish, or we get more consolidation, or we see price maybe just give us a move down after a reaction, a little reaction higher, right? So a couple of things we can watch for, but one thing is for sure, we are seeing a little bit more strength here in GU than EU. Let's drop down to the 4-hour. Okay, and we'll take a look at the 4-hour markups here. So here's where that daily imbalance, the daily order block was respected. We can also see the H4 order block being respected there as well. A nice sweep of liquidity into that OB with then the shift and the change of character. This is a really nice reversal, that we got here at the end of the week. And then the continuation down here, obviously sweeping out this internal low here. Okay, again, just like EU with the wick, right? And then closing above. Now, the difference here on GU, as you can see, with the strength is that we did not create, the possibility for an imbalance here, whereas EU, we did. You can see here the candle went a little bit lower underneath the low here. And so if we were to open with a candle lower, right, then we would have a small imbalance there left open, right? We would see a little bit more bearishness and momentum bearishness from EU than we would on GU. And that's kind of what I was hinting at here. But both of these are sweeping that low, right? So they're both doing the same thing as in terms of sweeping out that low, trading into an order block here, and then seeing price close back above. But there's just a little bit more inherent strength here for GU, right? Sweeping out that low, trading into this bullish OB over here. Okay. And then seeing price go up from there if it does. Problem I have with this already is that we've already tapped into this order block once, okay, and we've already gotten the move off of it here. So I don't know if this is going to actually give us a move higher here. It doesn't seem like, even though we got the sweep here, I think that we might just see price continue lower, right? And like I said, in line with what we're expecting from the dollar, if it does, just start off going up higher for the week. All right, so that is GU. Obviously, EU is going to be a little bit more sensitive this week because we have the EU high impact news on Thursday, right? So just be careful of that. And GU is certainly showing more strength than EU right now. All right, let's head on over to gold next. So from the monthly perspective, you can see after we took out that monthly swing high, right, we had a run up. We were looking for price to maybe make a run for that 3,000 marker, okay, the big milestone. Came just shy of that, okay, 2956. I believe the high was 2956.25, right? So there's potentially a run up to 3,000, but just fell short. We had a retracement, a wick rejection, right? And then we did close bullish, but we did come back quite a bit from, running up to that high there, right? So there is possibly a reversal happening here, right? We could be making a swing high. We could be retracing a little bit further back down into this range, right? Maybe trading back into the monthly OBs down here. Okay, so I'd be looking for the first, reaction would be this monthly OB here at the top, right? If we were to get below that monthly candle low from last month. So if we go down to the weekly chart and we take a look at the weekly, right, you'll notice that we have a very large bearish engulfing candle. So we closed the week bearish last week, right, with a very strong close, but we are trading into this weekly imbalance, this bullish imbalance here, right? I don't necessarily think that we will hold this one because of how strong the candle closed, right, and how we ended the week with such strong bearish momentum. So I think that we will see this forming a swing high here, right? And we'd like to see if we can get a little further retracement down into this range here. And like I said, the monthly OB, as we saw here, but the weekly you can see also potentially come back to mitigate the high here, right? Or maybe trade lower into a weekly OB down here. Okay, so let's drop down to the daily and let's see if the daily also confirms that as well. Here's the daily markups here. Here's the daily break of structure. Okay, here's that attempt to run into that 3,000. And then here's the breakdown after we see price reversing, right? So here we can see we have a sweep of the low here. Okay, so potentially we could see, and then we have a very nice pin rejection and a close above here. So we could potentially see price go a little bit higher to start the week here. Oops, what am I doing? Okay, but ultimately, I would say the momentum has now shifted bearish. Okay, at least for the short term. Okay, so we could see price come back, maybe trade into this imbalance here, right, or maybe into the OB. But I would expect something like this to happen next. Okay, creating a lower high and then coming down, trading back into this range here, right? So whether we see price go up first initially and then trade into here, and then go lower, or maybe we'll just see price go lower from where we are. Both will be scenarios that I would like to see happen for gold. If we go to the 4 hour and we take a look at the 4 hour markups, okay, we can see that we have the 4 hour break of structure, okay, and then the retracement back into this 4 hour order block would be the first thing that I would look for a reaction. But if we go to the daily and we take a look at the daily retracement area here, okay, and then the daily order block here. Okay, we could see a little bit higher retracement, but it's around the same area here. So somewhere around here, I'd like to see price give us a reaction lower. Okay, and so we'll see if we can do that. Trade back into this 4 hour order block and then see a reaction lower, or up here you can see that there is the 4 hour order block here overlapping with this imbalance. So that would be potentially another area that we can see price trade into, react, and go lower from. Okay, and so that is for gold. Now let's move on to the indices. So we have NASDAQ. So I will say that, the indices look a little bit tricky this week because of, just even in the monthly, you can see here, it's like sideways action, right? Monthly consolidation. We did close the month bearish, okay, after an attempt to go higher. So we did not take out the all-time high, right? We came very close. We did not take out the all-time high. But we did take out the previous month's high. Okay, so we did sweep previous month's high, and then we did a very large push and rejection lower, right? Did not close below last month's low, but we did get below last month's low before coming back up into it and closing with this kind of pin bar. Okay, so I would say the direction and the order flow is still bearish for sure, right? But there is possibility of, price moving higher. Short term or just like an initial short term move higher first before we then continue down lower. So if we go down to the weekly chart, right, what we can see here is that we have that failure swing here. We failed to go above the all-time highs, and then we saw this big push down. But overall, you can see how consolidated this market is, right? It's not very clean right now, what we're seeing. But we did end the week with a very large bearish close. Okay, here's the wick that we came down. We took out these all these lows here, right? Traded into the weekly order block, and then we had this nice, reaction, bullish reaction close at the end of the week, right? Now, if we are to continue bearish and continue lower, the target is going to be this last weekly low, the low that we made at the close of the week here. This is going to be 2460 or thereabouts. Okay, so I can mark that right there. So if we do continue lower, that is going to be the draw on liquidity for me, right? And I'm looking for price to come down towards that low. We did close with a very large bearish candle, so maybe we'll get a little retracement up first, right? And if we do get a small retracement higher first, maybe trading into this order block or this order block, and then seeing price go lower after that is not out of the question. But it just seems we need a little bit more information right now to see what we want to do. So on the daily, if we take a look at the daily, we can see that we did break the daily structure. We did close below that daily structure, right? And then this is the retracement that we got at the close of the week and Friday, right? This bullish move. So we did leave a little bit of an imbalance here, okay? But based off of this close here, we can see we swept the low and then we close back inside the range. So it tells me that we're probably going to be looking for a little bit more of a retracement up before going lower, right? And so this area here would be a prime area. That would be the first area I'd look for a reaction and the move lower to. But there's also an area above as well if this doesn't hold. Okay, so I'd like to see price come up to here and react and go lower if we do, right? But initially, I'll be looking for, probably a move up first into those areas, right? So this will be the first area here on the daily. Let's see if there is an overlap on the 4-hour. Okay, so on the 4-hour here, we can see that we've already actually closed through this bearish imbalance here. So if we are going to hold, we have this order block right here. Okay, but I think the more likely one is going to be the imbalance and OB up here. So let's mark this range right here. So seeing something like this, right, where we tap into this imbalance or the OB here, and then seeing price continue lower, right? So an initial move up first, and then mitigating or trading into the OB and the imbalance here, and then seeing price go lower after that. Obviously, if we trade through this level, okay, then we'll be looking for higher points of interest up here, but this will be the first area here that I'll be expecting price to react from, right? So initially, maybe Monday or even Tuesday, we could see bullishness first, right, to trade up into these areas, and then seeing price reverse and come back down for the lows afterwards, right? Remember that we have NFP this Friday, right? So anything can happen at the end of the week here, but this is what I'd expect here for NQ going forward. And then let's go into ES. It should be pretty similar. Okay, so one thing that you'll note is there's a difference here with ES versus NQ, right? As you can see, the monthly wicks are much shorter, the more condensed, and this is a lot more, consolidated than NQ is, and I would argue a little bit more bullish than NQ as well, right? So we can see we have a close inside of the previous bullish candle, the bullish monthly range, okay? We did take out the monthly high last month, but we didn't close, or we didn't even trade below the monthly low here on ES, whereas on NQ we did trade below the low. I don't know if you can see it with all those markings there, but right here we did trade below last month's low, as you can see here, and then we closed back up into the range. So there is a little bit of a divergence there on the lows, right? And so there's showing a little bit more strength here on ES, right? And potentially looking for price to, go bullish. So if we go to the weekly and we take a look at the weekly markups, you can see that the order flow is still holding bullish, right? Even though it's a big consolidation overall, we can see that the lows are holding, and even though we're not making new highs, we are continuing to hold the lows here and the OB at the lows for the push higher. Now this is a bearish candle, bearish week, okay, but you can see we closed, or we went all the way down here to the low end of this wick, and then we came back up and closed more than halfway up here. So there's a nice bullish pin bar reaction that we're getting from trading into the order block. Right now the order block is still valid here, until we cross that 50% threshold. I would say that we're still holding the OB. So even though we did go below a little bit, right, we came back up and we closed back above that 50% level. So to me, the order block is still holding, right? We're not particularly bullish, but we're also not particularly bearish either. Okay, so like I said, it could go 50-50, and we're inside of a very large consolidation, right smack in the middle of the consolidation. So we really need some more information going forward here, right? But this is a lot more bullish than NQ is, right? But again, like I said, NQ also, we swept some lows, right? So potentially we could see a move higher going up the week. Let's take a look at the daily here. So for ES, we did take out a small swing high, or an internal swing high up here before that big move down that we got last week, right? And as soon as we came down into the low here, what's different from ES is that NQ, we took out this low, but ES, we didn't. We respected the order block and the discount of this range, and then we got this nice, bullish engulfing candle reaction. Okay, so if price will continue higher, from this standpoint, we could target this imbalance right here as a potential first target, and then eventually looking to take out the highs, the equal highs that we left here, and also the all-time highs. So a lot has to happen, of course, for that to confirm. But if we go to the 4-hour here, we can see there is a nice bullish imbalance candle that's formed after trading into the daily OB, and we're also trading through this bearish imbalance here. So the range right now currently is this high to this low, okay? And we have on the upside here, we need to see price trade back into the order block, okay? And see if the order block will hold. If it does, then we will see the bearish continuation down, obviously, right? Looking for the low there, that would be the draw. But if we trade through it, okay, then I would be looking at this giving us potentially a setup to go long, right? And then targeting those equal highs and the all-time highs going forward, okay? So it depends on whether or not we can get above this range here today, or this month, rather this week, rather than seeing price respect the bearish range and the bearish points of interest here, and then giving us the move down. Okay, so that's going to do it for the analysis and the overview this week. I hope you guys found that insightful and helpful. And of course, my goal for you guys every week is that you're able to use the information in these Sunday overviews to, plan your own trades and catch some amazing setups for yourself next week. So if you have any questions at all on anything I covered in the video, please go ahead and leave some comments below or questions below, and I'll do my best to answer them for you. And of course, if you're feeling generous, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. For those of you wondering how we in MindShift are going to be capitalizing on this analysis for the setups next week, the VIP enrollment is open, so you can check out the link in the description below. If you're looking for help on getting funded, passing your challenges, your evaluations, we have students every week passing evaluations and getting funded with our concepts and with our setups. You'll get access to the course, and also you'll get access to the live streams. So you can trade live with me every day, Monday through Friday, during the New York session, 9:30 a.m. to 11, and get a backstage pass, right? Risk-free. You can try it out for 7 days. sit in on the live streams, take the same trades I take, get the exact thought process behind everything that I do, and help you pass your challenges and get funded. So if you're interested in that, the link is below in the description, right? Check that out. But otherwise,
feel me.